Hey there, I'm Jennifer Filson, and I have a summary for you of Chapter 2 in my book, We Aren't Going Back, A History of Women's Social Progress Over 200 Years. You ready? Okay. Picture this. United States, 1800s. Women treated like fancy china dolls. Yep. The role? Stay at home, raise kids, and be obedient. Yeah, and that was the ideal woman. But this is where it gets interesting. These women, they didn't just sit around sipping tea. Nope, they were the first teachers, the first moral compasses. They were shaping young minds to be future citizens. And remember, we were a frontier, so we needed to civilize the area. So think about this. You'd have a hard time finding a school that wasn't segregated by gender or race. But still, some women, like Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, became educators and even published writings. Talk about badass. And it wasn't just for them. Native American women were decision makers in their communities. But guess what? The history writers, mostly white dudes, decided that didn't fit their narrative. So these women were overlooked, which is also why I'm having a hard time getting Native American women's stories in my book because they're hard to find. But you know who wasn't overlooked? White women writers. They took on male pseudonyms and bam, they were in the public eye. Margaret Fuller, she wrote a book titled Women in the 19th Century under her real name. Take that, gender norms. Now let's get to the juicy part, social reformers. Women like Lucretia Mott, Sarah Grimke, and others who were tired of being second best. They fought for women's emancipation from their separate spheres roles, where the women were supposed to stay in the household and the men were supposed to go out in the world. But guess what? They started making progress. Like Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman physician in the United States. She graduated in 1849, marking the beginning of new opportunities for women. So here's the story. Yes, women in the 1800s were expected to be domestic and obedient, but they were also teachers, writers, social reformers, and so much more. They fought against their given roles and started to change things. Now, that is a story worth telling. If you want to know more about these incredible women and their fight for equality, my book is packed with more inspiring stories and lessons from the past. Like this video and subscribe to hear more stories about women's social progress. You'll be glad you did.